Every time a multi-platform game is released, PC gamers check out its port. In an era like the 7th generation, most PC versions of games perform the worst possible. Some games even didn't have a PC version released. In this video, I will show you some games had the worst PC ports. Games that don't support mouse and keyboard. Games that are full of performance issues. And even games that can't be run on even the best hardware of the time. Of the above, I definitely recommend you take a look at the last one, because it's very funny. Now, without wasting any more time, let's get to the business. Number 1. Batman Arkham Knight. This port was so broken that Warner Bros. Pulled it from Steam shortly after launch. Players faced severe frame rate drops, crashes, and texture streaming issues. The PC version was outsourced to Iron Galaxy Studios, which reportedly had only 12 developers on the project. This game didn't even run on the best hardware at the time, I mean GTX 780 Ti. Processors at the time only had 4 cores, while this game required 6 cores to perform properly and reach 60 FPS. While the PC version was practically unplayable, the console version ran very smoothly and without any problems. The next one is Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition. As the name of the game suggests, you must be prepared to die. From Software admitted to lacking PC development experience, resulting in a 30 FPS cap, locked 720p resolution, and poor keyboard mouse controls. The community developed mod was essential for a playable experience. The internal resolution was 720p, with no native support for 1080p or higher without mods. The FPS cap was 30, with physics tied to frame rate. There was no support for mouse or keyboard. Incredibly clunky, practically unplayable without a controller. The UI scaling was poor. The UI was designed for consoles, menus were awkward on PC. The game originally required Games for Windows Live for saving and online features, widely hated and now defunct. Later patches removed it. The next one is Resident Evil 4. Capcom's original PC release lacked mouse support, used low-quality pre-rendered cutscenes, and emitted key lighting effects. It was based on inferior PS2 version rather than GameCube original, making it a port of a port. Shockingly, there was no mouse support at all. You had to use keyboard only, or manually configure a gamepad. Awkward key mapping with no proper rebinding UI. In terms of visual downgrades, there was no lighting or shadows. Entire real-time lighting system was stripped. There was no bloom, dynamic effects, or proper water reflections. Environments looked flat and lifeless compared to the GameCube or PS2 version. In terms of controls, keyboard aiming was awkward, and QuickTime events were hard to react to with key prompts. Analog movement and gamepads weren't fully functional. Pre-rendered cutscenes were low resolutions and compressed. Sound quality was degraded, and some effects were missing or poorly mixed. There was no graphic settings beyond resolution. Also, there was no widescreen support at launch. Next one, Saints Row 2. The port suffered from severe performance issues, including frame rate drops and crashes. The game was tied to Xbox 360's 3.2 GHz CPU clock speed, causing problems on PCs with different configurations. The game optimization was horrible. The game speed was tied to CPU clock speed. On modern CPUs, the game logic runs too fast, causing broken physics, mission timers, and vehicle behavior. The FPS was inconsistent. The game ran poorly even on high-end PCs. Stuttering and lag are constant. The multiplayer was broken. Online play was unstable and full of desync issues. Co-op was barely functional. The controls were poor. Mouse and keyboard controls were clunky, especially for vehicles. Gamepad support existed, but was poorly implemented. Crashes were common. Graphical glitches, broken missions, sound bugs, and crop saves plagued the vanilla experience. The studio acknowledged the port's failure years later and announced a fan support PC patch project in 2019, led by a small team from community. The next one is Street Fighter 2. The PC version condensed the arcade 6-button setup into a single key, had tiny music, and suffered from glitchy movement, making it a poor representation of classic fighter. Keyboard play was awkward, gamepad support was limited or required additional setup. Frame rate drops and sound issues, and compatibility bugs were common. Sprites were lower quality, animation frames were cut, and music lacked the punch-up arcade or console version. And at last, loading times were long and frequent, especially on early DOS systems with low RAM or slow CPUs. The next one is famous GTA 4. Despite high system requirements, the game was plagued with optimization issues like FPS drops, stuttering, and crashes. Many players found it unplayable at launch. This game ran poorly even on powerful rigs in 2008. It relied heavily on CPU, with inconsistent frame rates and stuttering, frequent crashes, poor memory management, and various bugs. The draw distance and lighting sliders could tank the performance quickly. Games for Windows Live initially required, causing login or save issues. Combined with Rockstar Social Club, it made the launching game a chore. It didn't look dramatically better than consoles, despite heavier requirements. Even after these years, the game is still far from perfect. Next one, Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition. The port lacked the proper controller support, defaulted to windowed mode, and had reversed analog stick controls. Player had to edit the files to fix the basic issues. The keyboard mouse controls were horrible, no proper mouse support, default keyboard layout was nonsensical, and rebinding was awkward. No native controller support, required third-party tools to use gamepads properly. This game had technical issues like poor frame rate caps, broken cutscenes, and resolution bugs. Poor optimization like, despite simple visuals, it ran inconsistently, no proper widescreen or graphic settings, and at last audio bugs. Music and effects were glitchy or out of sync on some systems. Result is, this port was a lazy broken port and didn't do justice to a classic game. Recommended only for modders or die-hard fans willing to fix it themselves. The next one is famous Watch Dogs 1. The PC version was riddled with performance issues, including frame rate drops and crashes. Additionally, features shown in E3 demos were missing, leading to accusation of graphical downgrades. This game was heavily unoptimized. Even high-end PCs at the time struggled with stuttering and inconsistent frame rates. Memory leaks and micro-stuttering were rampant, especially on GPUs with less than 3GB of VRAM. Game was CPU bound in urban areas, hurting performance. The final release looks significantly worse than E3 demo, sparking backlash. Ubisoft was criticized for intentionally downgrading visuals on PC to match consoles, even though unused higher quality assets were still in the files. The game had frequent crashes, especially on AMD systems, and clunky mouse and keyboard controls and weird acceleration on vehicles, unless using a controller. And at last, long loading times and HDDs. And the last one is interesting big rigs over-the-road racing. I don't know what to say about this game, because nothing works in this game. In big rigs there is no functional AI. The opponent trucks do not move, making it impossible to lose a race. The physics are broken. Trucks can accelerate indefinitely in reverse. And there is no collision detection, allowing vehicles to pass through obstacles. There is no gameplay. There are no penalties for leaving the track, and the game lacks any real objectives or challenges. These flaws led to overwhelmingly negative reviews, with GameSpot rating it 1 out of 10 and Metacritic 8 out of 100. And here we reach the end of this video. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Till next time, peace out.